Hey everyone, we are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. This is our last show for 2022. Look at that. Wrapped up another year. It's amazing, right? We're going to see each other next year, next time we come live. Well, this is a really exciting show for us. Before we get into that, maybe we'll do some quick introductions. I would like to introduce you tonight.
Okay.
All right, you can decide if you want to introduce me or not. Tonight, I'm here with my amazing partner, Lori Delcradecki. She loves when I do these things. Lori Delcradecki, and Lori is broadcasting to you live tonight. I'll tell you that it's from Tennessee, but she's a little town south. Is it south of Tennessee? Okay. And to me, like, Tennessee is a city that I've always wanted to be in, because it's just this, Nashville for sure. I've wanted to be in the middle of that. I feel like there's some connection that I have to it. And now I have this amazing Gratitude Girls partner, and I now know why. Aside from that little piece of information, my husband loves country. He loves country music. He loves country everything. So he's so much my biggest fan. So my Gratitude Girls partner does all the technology for us and so much more. This technology is this ongoing wave, this ripple effect of how you're seeing us tonight and listening to us. So I want to thank Lori for doing all of these wonderful things for 10 years, 11 years. I don't even know. We're in the second decade right now. Thank you, Lori. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be your Gratitude Girls partner.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, I am south of Nashville in Tennessee, almost to the Alabama border. So 30 minutes I can be in Alabama. And yes, so we are here with my Gratitude Girls partner, Catherine Asaro Myers, better known as Rara. And Catherine is going to come visit me in Nashville one day soon, but I'm beating her and I am making it to Toronto next month. And so, so next month, we will all be hanging out, and hopefully a little warmer weather though, because I'm not that great with the super cold, but we will see.
Yeah.
But and while I do all the techie stuff, yes, when the techie stuff does not go well, Catherine is the one that keeps me all sane and keeps me in line, so that way I don't freak out, and keeps everything going smoothly and just talks everybody through so calm and sweet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It comes naturally. We are a reflection of the people that we are around. And this is what we do. We see something and we mimic it. We do that from a very young age. And I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Usually I'm in Niagara on the Lake, but you know what? I like to move around a little bit. So keep your eye on us, because who knows where you're going to see us coming live from next. Now, tonight we have an amazing guest. I'll read a little bit about our guest, and then I'm going to speak to you from the heart. So I guess I'll read first. All right. I'm just, I want to make sure that I say everything that our guest has mentioned to us, and then I really want to share the kind of friend that she is. So Rani Glick is our guest. She's a mindful nutritionist and a brain health expert for women over 60 who fear aging and struggle with memory loss or stress, so that they can heal faster, move better, and feel happier. Rani is a holistic healer. She leads several online programs based on meditation and mindfulness practices. Heal to Health, a mindfulness practice for coping with stress. It is foundational for helping people cope with pain, stress, anxiety, and depression with no medications or supplements required. She also leads a weekly meditation and movement session called Practice Together to support participants and clients to practice in community. Feed the brain, a mindful eating approach to nourish the body, the heart, and the mind. This applies human physiology, nutrition, neuroscience, and mindful practice focusing on positive body awareness and long-term weight maintenance. Rani believes that the body knows how to heal itself, and we must listen. Rani is married with 2 sons and a dog named Knuckles. She was a former arts management executive and an artist that creates large welded steel and ceramic fired sculptures. Now, that's just amazing. Rani is redefining aging to heal faster, move better, and feel happier. We'll have all the show notes of how you can get in touch with Rani. On a personal note, I would like to say that Rani is an amazingly kind-hearted, sweet woman. In a bio, sweet human. In a bio, we can tell you what we do and how, maybe where we live and what we are. What we really don't get in a bio is the heart that someone has. The ease that you have to speak to someone like Rani. I speak to Rani on a regular basis, and each and every time I'm really amazed at her presence and the way that she speaks and the way that she communicates her thoughts. And I find this very intriguing because we are starving for good communication. You know, we really want to have good connections. So Rani, welcome to the Gratitude Girls Show. It's such an honor to have you on as our guest tonight.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. And it's my pleasure. And I have so much fun when I talk with you. We kind of laugh and have a good time. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, Rani, our audience is probably wondering so much about you, but I just want to ask you about this welded, these pieces, these art sculptures. Can you just share with us about this? Like, how did you get into that?
So I was an artist. I went to art school and everything. I studied art. I have several degrees in it, and I was a sculptor. I love ceramics, and I made steel clay sculptures. I'm very interested in landscape and the human figure. And so I did ceramics first, and then I got really interested in welding. And I made steel sculpture using TIG and MIG welding, you know, with the little thing that you do, and, you know, it connects the pieces of steel, and also did some forging. And I just loved it. It's so malleable to like work with malleable clay and then to work with steel, which is hard, but then to make it malleable, it's just wonderful. So I combined the 2 materials because I could put things up. So I could use the steel as a structure and have the clay forms, you know, up or big or whatever in different places. So that's what I love, because you could do such beautiful things with clay. You can fire it, but also make lovely shapes. I made more abstract forms, and I would add different glazes and different textures on it. So yeah, I don't have anything right.
I was just going to say, do you have anything nearby? You were reading my mind.
I'd have to go into another room, but and take my computer with me because it's kind of heavy. But let me know if you want to see one. But yeah,
well, maybe you could send us. You could send us a picture and we'll post it.
I will. I'll send you some pictures. That's a great idea.
That's awesome. Love to see
that.
that.
I did it for a long time, and then I got more into because it was hard to have a studio. I lived in the States for many years. I lived in Boston and New York, and I did most of my work there. And then I came back to Toronto and got married, and I did a little bit of it. It was too hard to get that going, that kind of studio. So I did collage, and I do now a lot of book arts, which is you create a narrative in a kind of a somewhat abstracted book structure. So I love that. So
tell us a little bit about that narrative in a book structure.
Okay, well, book arts is an art form, and it's been around for a long time. So it's basically taking the concept of a book of pages, but it can be in all kinds of form. It could be 3-dimensional. It can be in all different kinds of shapes. It came out of the printing industry, so a lot of printmakers started using as a art form, but then it sort of became a combination of collage and different kinds of techniques. And it's a narrative. You tell a story, and it could be abstract, it could be with letters, it could be with images, whatever. And it's a beautiful art form. I really like it. I'll have to send you a picture of that too.
Yeah. So you mean we could actually do that about you being on the show tonight?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, yeah, art has really been my passion. And I really have had a full career as an arts manager and as a artist, and it was an interesting combination. And yeah, I really continue to really appreciate it. When I travel, I always go to museums and galleries, look for contemporary art. I love ceramics.
And I know
So
you
stuff like that.
recently had a wonderful culture trip, I should say, right? Where you were
Yes.
visiting.
Yes, I went to Portugal and Spain with my husband, and we drove around, and it was really beautiful. If
Mm.
you've ever been there, I'd never been there before, so it was really lovely to see it. And we really enjoyed. We were in southern Spain. We did a bit of northern part, but we really liked Portugal as well. It's beautiful.
So, Rani, I feel like you take the art in you and that you apply it to the body and the mind. And when I introduced you, we talked about you working with women over 60. And I'm wondering what the response is of some women, like, oh gosh, I'm not there yet. Like, I'm not quite 60. That's not what I'm saying about me. I'm saying that, what about the women that are saying, I'm not quite there, will she work with me? So can you just share a little bit about how did you end up focusing on women over 60 or 60 and over?
So I was very interested in working with healthy aging, because one, I'm there, but also that it's a really untapped area that of applying holistic practices as people are aging. And there's so much we can do, because really it's partly a mindset, but also how we keep active and engaged with people, because it's a combination of being physically active, eating food, good nourishing food, and also engaging in community, being socially active. It's keeping the brain active. How do you keep the brain active in all different kinds of ways? So that really interests me. So I started with people 50 plus in nutrition specifically. And I really liked it. I love hearing people's stories, about their life, and what the different things that they do, and that they're very interested on how they can really age well without having to go on medication. Now, it's an interesting time because a lot of them are of a different generation, where the doctor is, the main person who decides everything. I mean, their word is God, so to speak. And they really are more committed to that. But then you get an emerging generation that's really more open to holistic health, and they're curious, and everyone is living longer and living healthier and are physically active, and they want to maintain that in some way. So over 60 became just sort of the next phase of women who are really in good health. They can do a lot of different things. And as they say, go in the 60s, and go Ducos in the 70s, but go slow in the 80s, and then slow in the 90s. But people are living very long, and they're living healthy, and they want to be active. They want to travel. They want to spend time with friends and family. And they want to be also engaged in either writing a book about their life, or an interest that they have, or traveling, or making a difference in the world. So they want to have that energy, that good health. And so I find that a very interesting area. And plus, I'm there too.
Right. So it sounds like the women in 2022 who are 60 and older are doing things very differently than the women of the year 2000. I won't even talk about the 90s. I won't talk about the 80s or 1970s or any of that. Forget talking about the 50s or 60s. Just in the last 20 years, women who are 60 and older are more active. I remember being young, thinking about my parents being 50 something, and I must have been really young. It must be a very young memory, thinking, wow, they're 50 something. And now I'm thinking, gee, why did I feel like that? Why did I think 50 something was, this mature, which it was, age that was so far away. So what I hear you saying is that the women that you're speaking to who are 60 and older are extremely interested in remaining active, that we no longer have that mentality, is that the right way to phrase it, of retirement. I'm going to retire at this certain age.
Yes,
That doesn't
exactly.
really
That's
happen
right.
anymore, right? Where
Right.
what are you going to do next, sort of in that phase of life? What happens next? I worked this job, I did this career, I had this business, I didn't have this
Exactly.
business. So what's going to happen next? And however much energy we have will probably be a direct correlation to how fast we'll get that project up and going, whether it's go, 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 or go, go, or go, or slow. So when you deal with, if I remember what you just said, so if you deal with women who are 60 and over, would you say that there's one common concern? And maybe there's 100, but can you just pick one that we can maybe relate to today and say, yes, I have that concern too? Like, what is it that a woman over 60 that you want to talk about, keeping
Yeah.
it, to a
Well,
family
there's a
show?
few things, but one of them is women are, and men too, but women are more prone to Alzheimer's than men. We carry a gene, so women are more prone to Alzheimer's. Men are more prone to Parkinson's disease, which is interesting. So memory is a big issue for women. That is a big concern about, losing their memory, losing their focus, being able to keep engaged. It's really devastating when you feel you're losing your memory. I mean, you lose your keys and you lose this and that, and you go, what the heck is that? But, in a more serious way, losing memory is very frightening. And it's one of them, it's a major part of who we are. It's our sense of identity and a sense of our wholeness. And I think that it's difficult when you're in that sense of fear of losing your memory. That would be one of them. And then energy is a big part of it as well, that you can't keep up. And mobility is another one.
Yeah, so that's good. That's 3 top ones, because you don't really know how active someone was before when they say,
Yes.
gee, it's not like I used to be. Well, we don't know what used to be was. We just know what it is like today, right? So
Yes.
loss of memory. I was just going to make a joke and say, what'd you say? But loss of memory, but just loss of memory is at any age, it's frightening, right?
It is. There's
want
early
to-
onset Alzheimer's. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and it is happening much younger, which is really frightening. And they do call it like type 3 diabetes, like it's another level to diabetes, of how we can really be aware of insulin and our insulin resistance, or managing our blood sugar levels. Those are really important because we have a diet that is so high in sugar and unhealthy fats. And that really affects, they now know that it really affects our ability to sustain our memory and our health, because it affects us in many different ways. But insulin resistance is a huge factor in being able to, it's sort of the precursor to diabetes, to high blood pressure, to mood disorders and other mental illnesses. So it has huge impact, and it's prevalent. It's rampant everywhere.
Gee, I have so many questions for you, Lori. I know you probably have a question for Lori, so for Rani, excuse me. Lori, I know you have a question for Rani, so I will pass the show to you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, and I totally relate getting older, and still I'm in my 50s, but getting there, it's so different, right? Like I remember, like my grandparents didn't travel and everything, where now I'm like, let's go. And so my husband and I want to travel a lot, and we were until the grandbaby came, and now we're taking a little hiatus to play Grammy and Grandpa. But
lovely, congratulations.
But yeah, I mean, we like intend to travel, into our 80s and things, and I hear of other women doing that, other people doing that, so that's exciting. But
it's so amazing. Sorry to interrupt, but it's so amazing how many people are traveling, because I was just in Portugal and Spain in October, and they're all people in their 70s and 80s. It's just remarkable. So it's really fantastic that people are exploring the world at that age. And just look at Golden Girls, which we thought were so old, but they were in their 50s. So there's some wonderful pictures out there on social media about comparing the woman of the same age today and the Golden Girls show, and they were young, but they looked old.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I always thought they were older than that. So
Me too.
but the same thing, I always said, once I get there, I'm going to be like the Golden Girls, and I'm going to live with a bunch of women if my husband's not here. And I just got remarried after being widowed. So now hopefully he's going to stay here. But if that ever changes, then I would still live with a bunch of women and travel. I mean, that would just be so fun. But so tell us how, like, I read it in the paperwork, but tell us a little bit how, like, you went from being such a cool artist to, okay, let me help women with our health.
Okay, well, I worked in the arts for a long time. As I said, it was my passion, and I kind of got tired of it, and I wanted to do something completely different. And I always had interest in cooking. I was a good cook, and I love food, and that's my other passion is sort of the nutrition, but also food in itself, because it has such nourishing qualities. And so I really wanted to explore that. I didn't want to just be a cooking or cook or a caterer. I was really interested in giving back and really helping people, because that's sort of my nature. I've been a caregiver in my family as a role for my whole life. And I love to, help people. And I really wanted to, contribute something, to give back, to really show my gratitude, so to speak, in helping people. And so nutrition was a great segue into really understanding how we can apply food for healing qualities, healing illness, or overall good health. It has so many possibilities. And so that's how that happened. And so I've been evolving. This is about 8 years now. So I've now been evolving and exploring other areas as well in the mind-body connection area.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I have one more question. So, of course, going through our lives, we have so much, to be grateful and thankful for. But if you could just pick, if you had to only pick one story, and not that any other one is any more or less important, but just pick one story that you could share with all of our worldly listeners.
About in nutrition or whatever?
Whatever, yeah, just whatever first pops in your mind of
okay,
grateful and thankful for.
Well, one of the most exciting times in my life was I lived in New York City, and I worked in the theater. I worked in off-Broadway theater, and it was so remarkable. It was just fantastic to just be in that environment, such a creative environment, and so much, so many interesting people. And I just loved living in New York, and I loved being so exposed in theater to all the different creative elements. And we did I worked for an off-Broadway theater company, and they did a production, a musical based on the writings of Borges, who was a Argentinian writer. And it was a huge success. And we met really famous actors who came to see the show, and producers, and it was really fun. And it was all beyond my expectation. It was such an exciting time to be a part of this, remarkable event. And so that was sort of one of my highlights, living in New York. And then another one would be, raising my family here in Toronto, and just what joy that has brought us, and how grateful we are to have such. I was just telling my husband today how fortunate we were. We have such independent and accomplished children, and it really means so much to us that they're healthy. Because I grew up in a family with a lot of mental illness, and my kids are healthy, and that's like, wow. To me, that's the wow. That's the biggest gratitude ever, is your health.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing both of those stories. Stories, when you're a good storyteller, right? You keep on listening. So I would love for you to continue to tell us stories. Maybe you'll find another way to do that. And one thing we like to do in our show is we like to pass the mic. You know, that expression, drop the mic. Well, we like to pass the mic. And we like to pass the mic to you and ask you to take the show over for a few minutes and ask Lori and I the same or different question. Just let us know and we will answer it.
Okay. So Laura, you're involved in tech and you have a lot to do in the back end of making the show work. And it's always very fascinating to me how you're able to really manage that and make that work, because you never know what's going to happen. And so I was curious about, you didn't mention it here, but I know you both do send out cards. And have you seen a change in doing these cards? Have they gone digital, or is it all by mail? And is there a difference to that? Are people reacting differently from receiving stuff in the mail or digitally?
Right. Yeah, it's still by mail. That is our, saying is, one thing that I say is I send out happiness in the mail and then I get paid to do it. How great is that? So yeah, our thing is it is by mail, mainly because, in this digital age, especially, I just think it's so much more important because people can send a text or get a text, send an email or get an email. Used to be a fax, right? Send a fax, get a fax. And now it's social media, right? They send the message or do the post on social media. And well, if you didn't see your best friend's happy birthday on social media, well, you might have thought that she forgot you, but she didn't. She did it on social media, but you didn't see it because you were out actually enjoying your birthday, right? So, we just say that, nobody takes a card, that was in a text or in a fax or in an email and hugs it and holds it and saves it forever.
Right.
Right. And so I'm one of those people that save every single one of my cards that anybody ever sends me. And like my husband teases me. He's like, you've been in this company for how long? Almost 20 years. And you save all the cards. And especially being in a company like this, you get a lot more than the average person too. But I love them and I love to go back and read them. And it just, and like the old saying of, words don't mean anything, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me or whatever. That's so wrong. And words can be so huge for people, and you put them in writing and you send it to somebody. And our CEO used to say, tell people how you feel about them now, not wait till they're dead and gone and in the grave. And I never really even got that message until I lost my husband and my kid's father of almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. And all these people came to his funeral and they said all these great things about him. And I thought, did he even know what half of these people thought about him? Because people don't tell you, right? And and it was like that really hit me then. And it's like, how important is that to say those words to people in card, and you don't have to say it in a card, you could say it in a letter too, right? But send it in the mail where they get it and they keep it, because if you text it or if you email it, it's going to get deleted, even if they plan to keep it. I mean, because people change their phones, right? And change their computers. And so but there can be, they're going to keep it forever. There's a note my husband wrote me on a napkin. I've got it in my drawer, right? Because it's important to me. And it's just simple. It's just a simple, I love you, but it was just a sweet note and I saved it. And so it's those little things that you never know that that the way it's going to touch somebody. And so, yeah, so that's totally important to me.
That's great. It's so lovely you say that. And I've kept a lot of my letters too, cards and stuff. I actually have like boxes
Yeah.
to keep that. Yeah, that's special. And we don't get it in the mail anymore. I mean, we get so few things in the mail now, so it's even more special.
Right.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So yeah, Rara, I wanted to ask you about, there's been 10 years or 11 years of episodes for this, for the Gratitude Girls, which is such a great concept. And gratitude means so many different things today. And it has so many different meanings. It's become a very popular word, but yet at the same time, it's really about giving. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you feel for gratitude? How does it work for you in your life of doing Gratitude Girls and this giving gratitude to people?
Well, thank you. I feel gratitude. And of course, it's always great to share it, but I wake up with a grateful heart. And this show really aligns with myself, and I know it aligns with Lori. And this is the reason why we did this, because it was our hearts that were aligned. This wasn't I'm going to do this business and we are going to make this amount of money, or we did this because our hearts were right at the same place at the same time. And that's what means a lot to me and to Lori, because when you're going into your second decade, you know that you made the right decision. And gratitude, we teach certain aspects of gratitude. We talk about writing things down, 5 things every day, but 3 things, 10 things in detail, not just to be grateful and say you're grateful, which is great, but to really write it down, to get it out of your mind into that journal, onto that paper, into that pen, from your mind to the pen to the paper, not typing it only, right? So when you ask me about how I feel about gratitude, it's a practice. It's a daily practice. It is part of my being. And Lori and I sharing this at the same level and being so aligned gives me a partnership. When I say for life, we really have this business love affair. And I mean that in the sense that what we do it so tightly and so closely without effort that this is the right thing for us to do. And we're the right people for each other to share this. So gratitude is part of my everyday life. I have a practice. We teach that practice. And I believe that being vocal and communicative about how nice someone looks and how pretty they are, and how they made me feel good, or how they made me feel, and that was a great experience together. By sharing that with people and listening to it, and then, as you know, my gratitude goes in a card. Like, it's just, some days I send 20 cards, individual, personalized, in my handwriting, handwritten cards, using my handwriting so it looks like it's handwritten, using my laptop or my phone. So what I do is I think about that message and that person, and I create, it's a piece of art for me. I create this with images and pictures and colors and fonts, and I send it and I feel relieved. So for me, when I need a little card therapy, it's because I really want to share how I feel. And I go into my bridge room and I'll say to my husband, I'm going to just do some more card therapy today. And he'll say, how many cards did you send today? And if I say 1 or 2, he's like, I know you're not done yet for the day, because it really brings something out in me. So thank you for asking.
Thank you. What an honor. It's great. Thank you for having me. Just
yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure to speak with you. Rani, I have another question for you. I mean, we're not worried about the time, but we want our audience to always know that, we're mindful of the time. But you talk about your nutrition and your desire for I guess, sharing your ideas about food and not being a chef or just a chef, but to really put it together. You do something on one day of the week where you bring community for community. And I just want to know if you could talk about that, because you do this gratuitously. So
Yes.
you have a mindful practice, a nutritional practice, you put it together, and yet you go and you share part of you with the world. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thanks for asking. So I do a mindfulness-based stress reduction program. I call it Heal to Health, a mindful approach to or a practice for coping with stress. And I do it's an online program I do for groups, and I also do it in business with businesses as well. And after they finish the program, it's an 8-week program. You want to continue to do meditation. And it's hard to do it by yourself. And so I wanted to offer that in a community that people can come together and we practice together once a week. And I incorporate, as part of the mindfulness practice, we do mindfulness movement, a combination of yoga postures, and I do some qigong and somatic movement with it as well. And so we do it in this practice together. We do movement and we do meditation, and then people can talk about their practice, because a lot of it is about how to really develop a practice. And like you're talking with gratitude, it's an everyday thing. So
Yes.
doing it together with other people is really helpful. And it also helps you embody the practice by doing it every day, by doing it with others. You kind of embody it and becomes more natural for you. So yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. It's sort of my way of doing it with people. At this point, I do it as a free part of my time, because I'm also practicing and I like sharing, and building community is really important for me.
Yes, I really love that you do that. And I really enjoy seeing your messages about that too. It reminds me, I don't know how people feel about getting messages sometimes. It's like, some people think, is it much? Is it too much? Is it not enough? I think of it as Rani's thinking of me, and she's inviting me to be with her. And isn't that nice? And I really appreciate getting that message from you. So thank you so much. I have so many ideas about that. You have no idea. I have this whole vision. I have this whole art program I'll discuss with you. But I really enjoy that. And now in terms of our audience tonight, if you wanted to share a message, there's so many things that I know you can tell them. But if there was one message that you wanted to give to our women 60 and over tonight, let's just talk to your target avatar. What message would you give to them? To us, to me, I'm your avatar.
Yeah. So, well, we're just to be grateful for having our breath and connecting to our body, and how that is so important to really have this mind-body connection, and to just really believe that, you are taking care of yourself, and how important it is to really think about, as you take care of yourself and your body, you're also taking care of the mind, because the mind is a function of the body, and we need to nurture both, and they're really connected. But the breath is really what connects the two together. One is to really calm and slow down, and the other is to heal.
Where would we be without a breath?
That's right.
Absolutely.
We're alive. We know we're alive.
Right. Absolutely nowhere. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so great, Rani. Your work is such a dedication to humanity, and we are so lucky that we have you as a resource and a friend and a collaborator and a community friend, so we could brainstorm with you and ask you some things that are perhaps going to happen that we don't even know about, because you have clients that can share with you, right? So Lori, we can talk to you and tell you what's going to happen between this, and then somebody, Rani, can tell us, well, I have a client, and so we could really get the Reader's Digest version on what we should be focusing on. Maybe we should have another follow-up talk. I feel like this isn't a conversation we should have once. This needs to be a repeat conversation. So Randy, thank you so much. And there are a lot of personal questions that we could get into, but we won't get into it on the show because it's a family show, but there are some really specifics that I think women over 60 have. So we could save
Yes,
that for
there's many.
any questions, right? There's many. If anyone has any questions, they'll send them to us and we'll send them to you. And then we'll
Thank
continue
you.
this conversation. You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you so
much.
much.
You're welcome.
It's
Hang
been
out
an
with
honor.
us. Yeah, thank you. We feel the same way. Hang out with us a little bit and after the show. And so between now and then, Lori and I are just going to wrap up and talk a little bit about, Lori, this is amazing that this is 2022 and we are almost done booking 2023. Like this is my goal is by January 30th to be working on 2024. And that's exactly where we're headed. So do you want to talk to our audience a little bit? Our audience, there's my New York accent, our audience tonight about getting on this show and what happens. And my goodness, who would wait a year to get on the show? But that's how it is.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So if you would like to be Rani and be on our show one day, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/gratitude girls. Make sure you like the page, add it to your interest, follow it, all that stuff, and click send a message, and then tell us your gratitude story that you want to share with the world. And make sure you leave us your contact information so we can get back with you and let you know when our schedule is open to fit you in and get you on our show.
It's really amazing because to wrap up the year and to say, we are looking at the end of 2023 being booked. That just tells me that there is so much out there to be shared. There are so many people that want to talk about gratitude. We have a show a month. It's the fourth Tuesday. Lori will go into that. Once a month. We could have a show once a week. I'm not even suggesting that we do, but we could, because when you're booked a year in advance, the last month of the year for the next year, that tells you something. That tells you that there's a need. We're filling a need. We have a niche, we have the market share, and we know that this is something that people like, and we want to give you more of it. So what we're going to do for right now is ask you to come onto the show and watch the show, but stay tight, stay close to us, because we know that there are things that you want and we are going to be able to offer them to you and share them with you. So keep your eye on Gratitude Girls. Lori will give us more of the detail about how you can tune in with us. And if you do have a question or a story, please send it to us. You can send it to us directly or personally on our YouTube, on our LinkedIn, anywhere that you want to communicate with us, because at the moment, that's probably the way you're going to find me directly. We won't get into that right now. Okay, Lori.
Yes, absolutely. Follow us on all social, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, even on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you can watch our show there, or you can listen to our show, download and listen to it there. And you can leave us an awesome review. But yes, on all the socials, Instagram, everywhere, follow us. Check us out. That way you make sure that you always get the notifications and you never miss one of our shows. And you can always see all our past shows for the last 10 years on gratitudegirls.com. You can also see all the other things we do with our coaching and with our speaking engagements, and anything else that we come up with will be on our website there. And we do this show the fourth Tuesday night of every single month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. So make sure to set your calendars and tune with us, and we will see you next month, next year.
Good night. Thank you. And thank you, Rani.